But I'm a former prosecutor, and I've got a question that is just, I can't keep it from coming out. Based on the evidence at this point, is there any difference between Sandy Hook and Boston other than the choice of weapon?
Well, in terms of intent for death and destruction and injury, no. Methodology, yes. And we don't know the motivation behind certainly Boston. We don't know whether it was domestic, it's international.
Or if it was identical to the motivation in Sandy Hook.
We just don't know the answer to those questions. So I think that it's impossible for me to sit at the table today and say they are identical except in effect and impact.
Well, as I look at the evidence that's available, you have mass destruction and violence and slaughter of innocents. And in neither case do we know motive. And the irony is we are so quick to call Boston terror. Why aren't we calling the man with the high-capacity assault weapon and the high-capacity magazine, why aren't we calling him a terrorist?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, I think it's important that we talk about that in government because, and it may be that we learned the motive of both, and it may be the motive in Sandy Hook was political and the motive in Boston wasn't. Or the motive in Boston was political and the motive in Sandy Hook wasn't. It may be they both are suffering from severe mental incapacity that caused them to want to go slaughter a bunch of innocent people. But, you know, as I look at it with the eye of a prosecutor on the evidence that is available right now, I find it troubling that one is characterized in a way that causes so much more fear and disruption in everyone's daily lives than the other one. Not that there aren't mothers all over the country that are afraid to send their first graders to school these days. There are. But I would certainly urge you, Secretary, to take a look at this and see if the government has a responsibility as to when and how we characterize an act, a criminal act, an act of terror, when there is not evidence yet to support, I believe, that characterization until we know what the motive is. It just is troubling to me, and I think both of them, you know, maybe they had identical motives. One chose a military-style weapon with a high-capacity magazine, and the other one chose to make a homemade bomb.